Before we get started with my actual outline, I just wanted to tell you that if you're interested in reading about my time abroad in more detail, you can check out penniesintheThames.blogspot.com, where I blogged pretty regularly while I was away. I also pulled together some of my friends and asked them what their favorite things were about studying abroad, and this is what we said. So with that in mind, let's get started. Here are some things you really should think about when it comes to where you go. Obviously, language. Do you know the language? Do you want to learn the language? Do you want to get better at the language? If you're going to an English-speaking country and you're an English speaker, then that probably isn't a problem for you. But if you go somewhere like Japan and the program is taught in Japanese, it'd probably be great if you knew Japanese. So just be sure that you check out the whole language deal. Another thing to be aware of is cultural differences and things that you think that you'll be able to adjust to, or maybe not so much. I had a friend that studied in Bologna, Italy, and she's very organized, I think, and she just likes things done a certain way. She's from New York City, so she's like one of those New Yorker types, and I know she would just rant to me about how businesses would just be closed sometimes randomly, like with no warning. I mean, she still loved being there and she enjoyed it, but I think she was ready to go when the time was up. So just beware of things like that. Being in a place like London, that wasn't a major issue. For the most part, things are quite similar to the US in a lot of ways, so it wasn't a huge shift. I had an entire month off at the end of my term in the UK to study, but I didn't really need that much time to study, to be honest. So me and most of the people I know traveled loads. I think I went to maybe 7 places total. I can list it here. That was like a blur of my life. It was just so fast paced. It was awesome. But yeah, definitely think about what you can afford if you want to go somewhere else, what you can pay for, etc. Other thing to think about is safety. I definitely think that's very important, and I think your parents or your guardians or whomever will also think that that's pretty important. I know someone who studied abroad in a small town in Argentina. It wasn't Buenos Aires, it was somewhere else, and she was held at gunpoint. So that was kind of an issue, and I think she did end up leaving earlier because her parents kind of freaked out about that, which is understandable. So I mean, sure, those things can happen anywhere, but do think about your safety and your accessibility to maybe leaving if you need to, and your emergency contact information, and loads of things like that. Your safety definitely should come first. Another thing to think about is when you're going to go. I know at my university and a lot of my friends at other universities, it's most popular to go the second semester of your junior year. So, for example, I was gone from January till June, and that's a common time to go, and like most people there were my age, same year, same term, etc. Most of the Americans, I should say, that were studying. Think about that and plan for it as your college career is going on. Also think about how long you want to be gone for. I did 1 semester, but looking back, I would have absolutely loved to have done a year. It's hard to know beforehand, but my token of advice is ask around, see how people like the program. And I mean, I don't know anyone that had a terrible experience studying abroad, to be honest. Everyone loved or significantly liked it overall. Sure, you might have times where you're not feeling it, or maybe you wish that things were like how they were at home, but most of the time it's just so exciting and amazing. And I mean, I would have loved to have been able to do it for a year, and I had 2 friends in the UK that were Americans that were there for an entire year, and I was jealous that they were there even longer than I was. Okay, another thing to think about is why. What are you looking to gain by studying abroad? Do you want to get better at a language? Do you want to learn more about different cultures? Do you want to travel? Do you want to see what curriculum and education is like in different countries? Do you want to meet people? Do you want to see all the sights? I mean, you probably want to do all those things. I know I did, but just think about them and be sure that you understand what you're looking for, so that you can maybe make sure you get to do them while you're there. Time does fly by. I know at first it seemed like, oh, I've got like 5 whole months here, etc. La-di-da, oh, I'll do that later. But there were things I didn't get to do because I ended up putting them off. And at the end, we made like a list of things I wanted to see still. And, I was able to do some things, but not everything. Do think about what you want to do, and so you can thoroughly budget out when you get to do them, and make sure you get your list checked off, I'd say. Another thing to think about is how are you going to be able to get there? You need to think about money, expenses, scholarships, budgets. Budgets are incredibly, incredibly important. I actually had a folder. It was an expandable file folder made out of plastic that had different slots, and I budgeted my money for each week, and I was very exact, and I kept up with it for the most part, except for when I traveled, I kind of spent a bit more because I had to pay for lodging and, you know, food and things more. Think about, you know, the money exchange. You know, sometimes it can work in your favor if you're going somewhere where the currency is better for your dollar or whatever your currency may be. But yeah, think about that. Make sure you know how much you're spending each week. That can go very wrong. You don't want to be broke like 3 months in. You need to be able to sustain yourself the whole time. And I think I did a great job by doing what I did, and I recommend that method if that's useful for you, to visualize how much money you have. And it also allowed me to not go to the ATMs frequently because there's also charges if you're abroad usually. I love London. I fell in love with it. I'd love to go back, and I'd love to live there. So I'm going to talk about the benefits of studying in London. So first off, I mean, it's considered like one of the greatest cities of the world. It has great, rich history. It's been around for ages, and it's just a beautiful place. I love cities that have different areas and pockets of different little things everywhere throughout the city. Kind of like how New York is. And London is definitely like that, and I love big cities. So for me, London is a great option. If you're into big cities, London's the way to go. Even just within England, like I traveled a bit outside of London. I went to Canterbury, which is in Kent, and Brighton, and to Bath. So I got to see all different things throughout England. If you're in the country and you can't really afford maybe traveling out of the country, travel within the actual country that you're in. You know, going to Brighton, I think it was about an hour on the train, and it's not that expensive. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Brighton was cool. Bath was also cool. We had a bit of a awkward experience there, but overall traveling was awesome. Another thing about London, if you like English, if you like speaking English, if you want to stay in English, English-speaking country, yeah, London's a great place for that, obviously, you know. Of course, there's accent and slang and whatnot, but you'll catch on, or at least you hope you do, at least for the most part. You can get by. Other great things, there's a lot of access to American amenities that you might be used to. For example, American candy shops, or sweet shops as they'd call them. Yeah, you'd find that in London, and probably in other parts of England, definitely in other parts of England. I think if you're in other countries, it might be a bit more difficult to come across, like, I don't know, Reese's Cups, but you can find them in England more so than you might be able to in other places. So that's always great if you feel like you're homesick and you maybe can't get a package into you. I know I was there and I had a taste for Milani cookies, the little chocolate in between the two white cookies. Oh, love those. Actually, while I was there, my mom sent a huge box of like American junk food, but all the British girls that lived in my flat, we had them try it. So you can watch that video. I'll link it here and down below. It's really funny. They review everything and they hate everything, and it's cool. Okay, another thing is that there's amazing restaurants and nightlife and just things to do in general. Like I mentioned, museums and history and the Buckingham Palace, if you're into that sort of thing. I'm not super into the royal family, so I don't know. I knew people that camped out and saw them, though, during the Jubilee, which I was there for. So that was interesting. If you're into that sort of thing, you can do it while you're in London. Yeah, and there's so many things to do. Not to mention, one thing I also really love about London, and most cities in general actually, is like, doing the touristy things is fun and all, and like it's cool to be like, yeah, I saw Buckingham Palace, it's got its place, but at the same time I think it's so much cooler to find cool underground things that locals do. And I think that what helped me see more than just central London was living in the East End. I got to see areas of North London and South and in East and West. So be sure that you really do explore wherever you are. It's the best that you can. Transportation is great for that, so living in a city like London with the tube and the bus system and things, like, it's definitely doable. Another great perk is English accents. Those are always fun. I had a lot of fun joking about with all my friends and things, that in the way they say things and learning new slang, and I don't know, it's always fun. So that's another bonus. One of my favorite parts about studying abroad is living with people from different walks of life, from different people in general, and that's like the best part. So be aware of that, and think about that, and think about what your preferences are. Do you want to live with Americans that you know? Do you want to live with a mixture? The university that I was at, I lived in a building that I was in one flat, and we each had our own room, so we had singles, and we each had our own bathroom, and we had a shared kitchen and like little dining area, which was perfect because we each had our own privacy and our own bathroom, so we didn't have to fight over like cleanliness in regards to that. But we had our shared kitchen where we all could hang out, and I mean, we all knew each other very well. It was 9 people in total, but like it was really fun. And it was let's see, I think 7 people were all from the UK, and then in Ireland, and then 2 of us were American. So that was really cool. It was really mixed, and you know, you get to know people on a different level. It's different living with people than just visiting a place for a few weeks, if you know what I mean. I liked this sort of program where I was just kind of like an exchange student more than the programs that were set programs where you're being taught by American professors and you're in an American house but you're just like transported in a new city. There are programs like that, like several programs, and it's just not really my thing. I liked being fully integrated, just an exchange student. Kind of, it gave me the freedom to sort of do my own thing and not have to be like, okay guys, we're doing a field trip now, or you know, or whatever. It's just sort of like, I didn't want it to be like being with Americans, doing American things, but just in London. You know, I wanted to fully see what life was like being in the UK. So I feel like that definitely helped me do that more. I do think being aware of your personal identity in respect to where you're going is also important. You know, will you be viewed as a minority there, whether it be how people, you know, different genders are treated, or sexual orientations, or races, and whatever else. It's just something to be aware of, and do your research about the different cultural backgrounds. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. Sorry if I'm a bit rushed, my battery was running low, but thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, you can please ask me down below. I will link you to my study abroad blog, my blog while I was gone, loads of information there, and yeah, that's essentially everything. So thanks so much for watching. Questions down below, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Hey guys, subscribe to my channel for more, check out my last video, and let me know down below your thoughts on studying abroad.